While hundreds of passengers have been boarding international flights this morning after the travel bubble between Australia and New Zealand opened. Joining me live is Chris Roberts, the Chief Executive of Tourism Industry Aotearoa. Chris, thank you for joining me. How significant is today?
Oh, it's a momentous day for the tourism industry here in New Zealand, and I'm sure there in Australia. We've got 32 flights across the Tasman today, and we only had 36 flights all of last week. And that number of flights is going to build quite significantly to 100 flights a day at least very, very soon. But thousands of travellers coming across in both directions today, almost all of them visiting friends and family. So we know there's lots of reunions going on. The first Jetstar flight from Sydney arrived in Auckland about an hour and a half ago. The very first Air New Zealand flight came in here to Wellington within the last hour, and I'll be heading out to the airport myself shortly for some of the celebrations out there. So, really joyous occasion for a lot of people.
Yeah, we're seeing so many reunions at the airport there in Auckland, as you mentioned. You said initially a lot of family reunions. Are you expecting that to be dominating first and then more people looking to book more tourism-related activities?
I think so. I think almost everyone on the flights at the moment will be travelling for family reasons or perhaps business connections. The real bookings that we're seeing coming through are for the July school holidays and here into the ski season, of course. So we're expecting hopefully a booming ski season, especially down in Queenstown, Wanaka, places like that, with Australians grabbing their skis and snowboards and heading over here. And we're already getting some snow on the mountains, so the signs are very good for a ski season. And no doubt some New Zealanders will be attracted to the winter sun in places like Queensland, shopping trips to Sydney, Melbourne and so forth. So I think there's huge enthusiasm to make this work. And now it's down to all of us to make sure that we do the right thing, that we travel safely, we meet all the requirements. We're still thinking about hygiene and keeping ourselves safe and not travelling if we're not well. Because the last thing anyone wants is to get this wrong. The whole world's watching to make sure Australia and New Zealand can achieve this. It's going to be really, really important for the whole globe that we can make this work.
Absolutely. As you said, all eyes are now on this travel bubble. How difficult will it be to navigate in the event that there is an outbreak in either country?
Well, I think we understand what the rules are going to be here in New Zealand. Those have been set out pretty clearly. Just listening to your earlier item, clearly there's still a different approach taken in different states to how you're managing the pandemic, and the same will apply to what happens if there's another outbreak and you've got to deal with a bunch of New Zealanders over there. It'll be a state-by-state decision to a large degree, but I think everyone may not be on exactly the same page, but we're close enough in terms of how we're managing this. So let's not see any panic because it's almost inevitable that at some point there could be a community outbreak of this virus. And we just have to manage that as we've been managing in recent times. Both countries be sensible about it. It could lead to some delay for those travellers who happen to get caught up in an outbreak on either side of the Tasman. But I think we've shown that we can deal with these issues. And the benefits from being open to each country are huge, and we want to be able to retain that.
Yeah, absolutely. Take us through the last 12 months. Have some operators simply had to shut down completely?
A lot of people have lost their jobs, as they have in the tourism industry in Australia, but very few businesses have gone under. I think that's the nature of the tourism industry. They tend to be owner-operators. There's a few big players, of course, but most tourism businesses are run by the owner and the operator and a few staff, and it's what their life passion is. They want to be in that business, and they're hanging on for dear life at the moment. And that's why it's so important that we're having some international visitors back into the country. I think it just gives everyone a sign that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that those businesses that they've built, often a lifetime building up, are still viable. They still have a future. So I think both there in Australia and here in New Zealand, we have a lot of tourism businesses thinking that there is a future for them.
Well, it's certainly a momentous occasion for both countries today. Chris Roberts, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.